Welcome, namaste. This yin practice is for the Vata Dosha. We're going to start on our seats. You can stretch out your legs, do some ankle rotations. So your feet can move in concert with each other. Maybe you want to move them apart. Good. Nice way to start practice. And change the directions of your circles. Waking up the feet and the joints. We move into also our neck and some wrist stuff. Good. And then you come to cross-legged or sit any way that's comfortable for you while we move into those wrists. We're going to take one arm away, so palms facing away from you, fingers down towards your mat, and gently pull back on your fingers there. And also pull the thumb back. Good. And over to the second hand, same thing. And then we're going to interlace those fingers together and do some wrist rotations. Maybe figure eight, whatever you want to do. Try to get some big movements out of the wrist. And for the Vata doshas, cracking in the joints is pretty common as long as there isn't pain associated with that. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, and then some soft fists for some individual wrist rotations. And a few in one direction and a few in the other direction. Beautiful. And we'll bring those hands to rest somewhere on your lap. I'm going to ask that you switch the cross of your legs. With the breath, we're going to take our gaze over each shoulder. Inhale here, center. Exhale, looking over one shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale, looking over the other shoulder. We're going to change up that movement. Inhale, center, exhale, tip your ear to one shoulder. Inhale, back up. Exhale, tipping your ear to the other shoulder. Good. Moving with your breath. The Vata Dosha types are generally kind of cold. Often maybe their hands or their feet are cold. And so nice warming practice is good. Practicing in a warm room is beneficial. Good. One more here. Back to center. Tuck the chin down towards the heart and some chin smiles. So tracing your collarbones slowly side to side. You can still move with the breath. Inhale as you come through center. Exhale as your head is rolling over to the shoulder. Good. Last little roll here, and then back to center and lifting the head up. In our yin practice, often I talk about using the ujjayi breath in the practice. So we're going to practice our ujjayi breath before we get into our first shape. And ujjayi breath, sometimes it's called the Darth Vader breath. It sounds like Darth Vader, so you're going to have some constriction in your throat. If it's helpful, and it can be helpful, so imagine that you have a compact mirror in front of your face, and even placing your hand there if you want to. So there's your compact mirror. Work on fogging up your mirror. So on those exhales, fogging up your mirror, feeling that constriction in your throat. Good. And then the inhale, feel like you're defogging the mirror. And still fogging up the mirror on your exhales. Really, so feeling that constriction in your throat, see if you can do it with your lips closed. So inhaling and exhaling through your nose, and still that constriction in your throat and a little bit of sound. And now the sound might only be in your head or somebody was sitting really close beside you. Good, finishing with your exhale. And then turn your hand to your lap and we'll come into our first yin shape. I encourage you to use that ujjayi breath if that works for you, or you can count your inhales and exhales to 4 or 5. The butterfly will be our first shape. You bring your foot soles to the mat and let those knees fall out to the sides. Push the heels away until you have that diamond shape between your legs. We'll take the hands to the side and then lean forward. That way we can't Not cheat too much here. Okay, then you found where your body wants to hang out. Then you can bring your hands forward to support your weight. Allow that spine to come into flexion here. We're tucking the chin towards the heart. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. We're about halfway here. And slowly begin to sit yourself back up. Use your hands to draw the knees together. We're going to lower onto the back, so if it's okay for you, you can lower this way. If you want to roll over to one side and then come to your back, whatever works for your body. We're going to come down to our backs for half cradle. Half cradle, you're going to rock the right knee in. You can keep the left knee, either that knee bent and the foot on the mat, or you can stretch that left leg long. Hands can go in front of your knee or behind. Okay. Find length in the back of the neck, so adjusting the neck, laying the back of your head down. Do 1 minute per side. we'll switch to the other side. Again, finding a grip that works for you and also a comfortable position with the other leg. And then we'll bring the right knee back in. We're going to balance it all out with the full expression. One more minute here. And you can roll over onto one side. We're going to make our way up to our seat, back up to our seat. For seated swan, I'm going to cross my left ankle onto my right thigh, so just below the knee there. Here's a great place to stay. A progression, if it's available to you, would be fire log. So I'm going to drop that right leg down and stack my left leg on top of the right. So stacking the left shin on top of the right shin, and that left foot will stay flexed, or do keep it flexed to protect that ankle joint. So either fire log or that seated swan. We'll do one side and then the other, so maybe splitting up again, 1 minute each. Good. If you're in fire log, if you're here, your hands can stay beside you. You can stay tall, or maybe again you want to explore a little bit of a fold and come forward. And you bring those hands forward to support your weight. And you're using that Ujjayi breath, or counting your inhales, exhales to 4 or 5. walk those hands back up if you're in forward fly log. Stretch out those legs, give them a little shake. And if you're in the seated swan, stretch out your legs, give them a shake. And then we'll switch to the other side. For those in seated swan, you're bringing those foot soles to the mat, crossing. Other ankle, I think it's the left ankle, right there, maybe not. Switching to the other side. Yeah, no, it's the right ankle on top of the left, that makes sense. Or progressing to that fire log. Right shin on top of the left shin, staying tall or exploring a fold. Don't expect it to be the same on the second side, right? Our body is different from one side to the other. Maybe you can do something a little bit different, maybe look different. When we come into our yin pose, the first thing is looking for that initial edge, that kind of uncomfortable, stretchy feeling, not pain, but a little bit uncomfortable. And we can play with those edges over time while we're here. You might try coming a little bit further, deciding if that's okay, or maybe back it off, test that again a little bit later. So finding your edge, and then trying to be still. Maybe the hardest part. 2 times it's okay to move though. If there's pain, you have permission to come out immediately. Or, as I said, maybe the body opens and it invites you to go a little bit further. And then walk those hands back up, be folded, and back to stretch out the legs. You're in seated swan also. Stretch out those legs. Couple options for the next one. The first option is Malasana, which is a yogi squat. I know that doesn't work for everybody's knees, so I want to give a variation on the back, something similar. But if it is okay for you, come on up onto those feet. I like to bring my hands into prayer, use my elbows, kind of push the knees out. So here, or, and not just the knees, it could be feet issues, or maybe it's in the hips. Come onto the back and we'll take a round of stirrup pose. It's a similar position now, we're on our backs, the knees are bent, the legs are kind of wide. Foot soles are turned up towards the ceiling. Then you reach your hands through the middle of your legs, if that's okay, and grab for the instep of your foot, or hands behind your thighs. But think about pulling the knees down towards your armpit area, kind of getting that deep squat-ish look. I seem to be built for squatting, so I'm going to take a round in Malasana. Good. You're just over halfway here. you're on your back, you can release and come to your seat. If you're here in Malasana, put the hands behind, stretch out those legs. When you come to your seat from your back, you're going to stretch out your legs. Also, our last shape is caterpillar. And caterpillar is this deep seated fold, deep if it's available to you. I think we can get warming the belly. So for the Vata Dosha types are cold, and so keeping the belly kind of tight in towards the legs and some warmth there is maybe what we're looking for. So hands beside you, same setup. As we start into our fold, exploring your first edge. Okay, when you can't go any further, your body's telling you stop, bring those hands forward. It is not the aim to get to the feet, especially in our yin seated fold. So some slack in the arms, the hands can come closer back towards your knees. Allow that spine to come into flexion and guide the chin down towards the heart, releasing the neck and maybe even the shoulder blades as you come down. And then slowly walk your way back up. We'll lead you into your own Shavasana, so you can lay down, you can stay on your seat. I would encourage your Shavasana. You can be there for just as long as you like, and you need to. I will be signing off here. I hope you enjoyed this practice for the Vata Dosha. Until we see each other again, namaste.